Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination in this rarely used
15 months after our first WGN Investigates report on questionable spending by South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard, it appears she has been forced off.
Chaos seems to follow Tiffany Henyard wherever she goes. The embattled mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and recently ousted Thornton Township Supervisor finds herself once again at the epicenter of political drama. With legal battles mounting, public outrage boiling over, and fresh accusations of reckless spending coming to light, the question on everyone's mind is this the end of her political career, or is she plotting a dramatic comeback? The drama reached a fever pitch on a cold and bustling evening in Homewood, Illinois. Hundreds braved the frigid weather to pack the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium for a historic Democratic caucus, the first in 30 years, to select nominees for Thornton Township's leadership. At the heart of this rare and contentious event stood Tiffany Henyard, fiercely fighting to retain her position as Township Supervisor. The atmosphere was electric, emotions running high as residents and party members gathered to witness a political showdown unlike anything the area had seen.
You can also say that she flunked out because her name is not appearing on the ballot.
In decades. Henyard, who once branded herself as a super mayor, now faced a battle not just for her career, but for her political survival. With her opponents rallying to shut her out and her name controversially removed from the Democratic ballot, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The event was not only a test of Henyard's resilience, but also a reflection of the deepening divide in Thornton Township's political landscape. What comes next for Henyard? Will she succumb to the mounting pressures of scandal and opposition? Or does she have one more move left to reclaim her once unshakable power? Stay tuned as we unravel the story behind the rise, fall, and possible resurgence of one of Illinois' most polarizing political figures. Even before the night began, cracks in Tiffany Henyard's plan to retain her political stronghold were glaringly evident. According to caucus rules, any candidate vying for Thornton Township Supervisor needed to present a full slate of 8 candidates, including positions like highway director, clerk, assessor, and trustees. But Henyard's ticket was missing a certified assessor, an oversight that proved to be her undoing. As a result, her name didn't even make it onto the ballot. In a dramatic
My prime example of people that's puppet masters trying to control the
twist, Illinois State Senator and Thornton Township Democratic Committeeman Napoleon Harris seized the moment, securing the nomination for Township Supervisor himself. The scene was tense, the stakes monumental, as Henyard's carefully laid plans crumbled before her eyes. Tensions boiled over when Henyard confronted Harris directly, accusing him of orchestrating an unfair and illegal process. "You didn't run any of this the right way," she shouted, her frustration echoing through the auditorium. The confrontation added fuel to an already volatile atmosphere, and supporters of Harris seized the opportunity to mock Henyard, singing a satirical rendition of a 1960s pop classic. The spectacle reached its climax as a visibly shaken Henyard stormed out of the room, her political ambitions derailed in what can only be described as a soap opera-worthy showdown. Headlines seemed to write themselves. Henyard outmaneuvered. Her empire crumbles. For now, her dreams of maintaining control over Thornton Township are in tatters. But in the unpredictable world of politics, the question remains, is this the final chapter for Tiffany Henyard, or will she find a way to stage a dramatic comeback?
Perception issues with it that are right to get attention. Will the court look at those perception issues? Probably not.
But Tiffany Henyard wasn't about to go quietly. Outside the Homewood Flossmoor Auditorium, she unleashed a defiant vow to challenge the outcome of the caucus, claiming the entire process had been rigged against her. According to Henyard, her supporters, many of whom were senior citizens, were deliberately shut out. "I arranged buses to bring my people to vote," Henyard declared, "but when they arrived, they couldn't get in. The venue was already full at its 600-person capacity." This wasn't an accident. It was a setup. With anger fueling her resolve, she promised swift legal retaliation. "This is illegal. I will be suing everyone tomorrow," she announced, leaving no doubt that this battle was far from over. For Harris, the caucus was a strategic masterstroke. By shifting from a primary to a caucus, he effectively removed the threat of facing Henyard in a larger election. For Henyard, however, this was a deliberate move to silence her and her supporters. This was calculated. They didn't want my voice or the voice of my people.
For a while, it's like, grassroots. It was organic when a lot of this things started at the township, where the people were, just showing.
To be heard, she argued. The night may have ended in a win for Harris, but for Tiffany Henyard, the fight is far from over. The stage is now set for a high-stakes legal battle. Is this the last gasp of a politician grasping at straws, or will Henyard's fiery resolve lead to an unexpected comeback? While Tiffany Henyard's political opponents celebrated their hard-fought victory, her loyal allies rallied behind her, unwavering in their belief that she still had a chance to turn the tide. Despite the setback, supporters argued that Henyard could mount a successful write-in campaign. "I think enough people know her name to write her in," said Keith Price, a vocal Henyard ally. "We could still win this. It's not over yet." But for many, Henyard's political future looks bleak. Her career has been marred by scandal after
32 minutes to an individual
scandal, and her critics believe this latest defeat is a long overdue reckoning. Over the past year, she has faced relentless accusations of corruption, reckless spending, and misuse of township resources. Reports have exposed shocking revelations about Henyard's spending habits: lavish trips, first-class flights, and extravagant meals funded by taxpayer dollars. One of the most eye-opening reports detailed how Henyard allegedly spent tens of thousands of township dollars on Amazon purchases, raising the burning question: how could such expenses possibly benefit the constituents she was supposed to serve? For many residents, these scandals have overshadowed any political ambitions Henyard still clings to. They view her actions as a betrayal of the trust placed in her, and they question whether she has lost touch with the very community she was elected to lead.
Not let her get back and to be the mayor, and we already know she's not going to win that supervisor seat.
As Henyard's critics pile on, the question remains: can she overcome the weight of these controversies, or is this the final chapter of her political career? Tiffany Henyard's leadership style has come under intense scrutiny, with many describing it as abrasive and confrontational. Her approach has alienated both colleagues and residents, intensifying the divide within the Dolton community. During a recent Dolton Village Board meeting, Henyard defiantly declared, "Like it or not, I am your mayor." In response, many attendees turned their backs on her or walked out, a stark visual representation of just how fractured the community has become under her leadership. This growing discontent is not just confined to public meetings. One of Henyard's most glaring missteps has been her handling of the Dolton Police Department. The town has been without a permanent police chief for most of the year, leaving the department in disarray and morale at an all-time low. To make matters worse, Henyard's hand-picked interim chief was
by 82%. Know this, I am gonna come through on a landslide just like Trump did. Know that I will be victorious.
Recently forced out after a judge ruled him unqualified for the role. Amid this turmoil, Dolton's police officers have expressed their frustration, with many feeling unsupported, overburdened, and disillusioned by the lack of stable leadership. Henyard's handling of both the police department and her controversial leadership style has only deepened the challenges she faces, leaving many to wonder how much longer she can hold on to power. The lack of stable police leadership in Dolton has had far-reaching consequences, not only causing internal disarray within the police department, but also contributing to a growing public safety crisis. Residents are voicing increasing concerns about rising crime rates, and many are holding Henyard's administration accountable for failing to allocate necessary resources to law enforcement. Critics argue that Henyard's prioritization of personal security, spending hundreds of thousands of township funds on her own police detail, has left the community vulnerable and exposed. Even more alarming are the allegations that Henyard has weaponized the police department for her own personal and political gain. Several local business owners have come forward with claims that they were targeted in raids after refusing to donate to events connected to Henyard's political activities. These chilling accusations have sent shockwaves through the community, with some business leaders calling it a blatant abuse of power. The growing distrust in Henyard's leadership has only intensified as these allegations surface, raising serious questions about her commitment to serving the people of Dolton and not her own interests. The controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership has deepened as allegations of financial mismanagement continue to mount. Beyond the reported budget deficit, her administration is now accused of obstructing grant funding for vital community projects. A $400,000 grant aimed at revitalizing local parks is now at risk of expiring, allegedly due to Henyard's office refusing to issue the necessary permits. This refusal has left the community in limbo, with park district officials openly criticizing the mayor. One official expressed frustration, stating, "The people of Dolton are paying the price for this petty feud," emphasizing how political grudges are taking precedence over the needs of residents. This has only added fuel to the fire, as it highlights a growing perception that Henyard's priorities are more about personal vendettas than serving the community she was elected to represent. The blocked funding and the consequences for the community's development have sparked even greater backlash against her already embattled administration. And that's not the worst of that yet. Come January, Life Now will promote welfare in the communities that count on the development supported by the work of Congress. She's trying to ensure no one else has the resources to challenge her, the trustee remarked, a statement that has sparked even more speculation. This claim has led many to believe that Henyard views her public positions not as roles of service, but as personal fiefdoms, places where she can exercise control and benefit from the power. This perception of Henyard as a leader, more interested in protecting her own position than serving the community, has intensified the distrust among many residents and officials alike. It's become clear to her critics that her leadership is seen less as a path toward improving Dolton and more as a means of maintaining personal power at all costs. Tiffany Henyard's financial management continues to draw sharp criticism, as a report by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed a staggering decline in Dolton's financial health. The general fund balance, once over $5 million in 2022, has plummeted to a deficit of more than $3 million by 2024. The report points to questionable expenses, including luxury purchases and unexplained credit card charges, leaving many to question the integrity of Henyard's leadership. Critics have not been shy in their assessments, with some going as far as to label her the worst mayor in America. Despite this mounting evidence of mismanagement and public outrage, Henyard remains defiant. She dismisses her critics as political opportunists and vows to keep fighting for her constituents. "The show will go on," she declared, holding firm to the idea that she can still turn things around. However, with ongoing legal battles, investigations, and a community increasingly divided by her actions, it's unclear how she can recover from the political and personal blows she's endured. Henyard's defiance has not stilled the calls for accountability. Community activists and watchdog groups have begun organizing town halls and forums to demand greater transparency from her administration. Some are even proposing petitioning for a state audit of Dolton's finances to uncover what they claim is unchecked corruption. One activist pointedly remarked, "If she's innocent, she should welcome a full investigation. But if she's guilty, the people deserve to know the truth." These efforts signal that Henyard's challenges are no longer just political. They have evolved into a grassroots movement for change. The public, once captivated by her rise, now watches with a mix of fascination and disbelief as her career unravels. Social media buzzes with commentary about her ongoing controversies, with both critics and supporters weighing in on her future. One commenter summed up the sentiment with a biting remark, "She didn't get a chance to speak. What's left to say? Bye, Felicia." Another was more blunt, saying, "That woman needs to be arrested and her assets seized before she's put in prison for life." At this point, it's difficult to predict what's next for Henyard. Will she rally her supporters and stage a dramatic comeback? Or is this the final chapter in her tumultuous political career? One thing is certain, her story is far from over. As investigations continue, lawsuits pile up, and the public's faith in her leadership continues to erode, the drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard shows no signs of slowing down. As the dust settles on her latest defeat, One can't help but wonder if this will be the scandal that finally brings her down, or if she will once again defy the odds and emerge stronger than ever. Stay tuned for more updates on this wild political saga.